Are you trying to change, but you're in the same old soil? Sometimes you need to submit yourself to the right environment to grow, because without change, you can't grow. And sometimes we're battling, like we're fighting the same current situation, the same system, the same habits, the same things, instead of finding new ways to do things. You know, it's like create a new way of doing something instead of trying to fight with the same old patterns. And to realize that, you got to say, well, is this working? Is what I've been doing working? Is this working? Am I getting the results? Sometimes the results take time, and sometimes you're just doing the wrong thing over and over and expecting different results. And by submitting yourself to the right environment, what I mean by that is, like, you can't like plant a seed and throw it down to the pavement and be like, well, I expect this seed to grow just because the seed has the potential inside of it to grow. And then you're like, well, I expect it to grow because it's a seed and it should grow. No, it has to be submitted to the right environment to grow. It has to be put in the soil, and then it'll attract what it needs, but also needs to be nurtured once it's submitted. You know, you can't just, sometimes you can just throw the seed, submit it to the right environment, and it'll grow. It'll attract the water. It'll absorb the nutrients from the soil. It'll take what it needs from the sunlight. And sometimes it needs a little nurturing and a little help. So if you aren't seeing growth, look at the environment that you're in. Is the environment contradicting what you're trying to do? For example, a toxic work environment. That could have really profound effects, because you're taking that home with you and you're bringing that toxicness home with you. Sometimes it's hard to leave it at the door because you just spent hours and hours and it's just circulating around in your mind, and your nervous system absorbed all of that. Sometimes our home, it's the wrong environment, and we're trying to fix it instead of just getting to the right environment. So it takes time to realize, well, what environment am I trying to grow out of? What am I trying to flourish out of? You know, when we first moved here to where we live, it took my design skills to another level, because I was challenged in a different environment to see what I could do. If I stayed in the previous environment, I had already kind of maxed out what I could do, and it wasn't allowing me growth. And again, to grow, you have to change. You can't grow and stay the same. It doesn't even work that way. So you have to be willing to change, and you have to be willing to give up what you've already done. Like, if you know, well, by doing this, it's going to give me this results. If I continue down this road 6 months from now, I'm going to experience the same results in 6 months, you know, that I already know. It's kind of like you can foresee your future based on the habits and the decisions that you're making right now. Your choices right now are dictating where you're going to go. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a woman thinketh in her heart. It's like you're thinking it, you're dwelling on it, you're meditating on it, you're talking about it, then you're moving into action, and then when it happens, you're like, why is this happening to me? Well, it started from somewhere. Your thoughts become your words become your actions produce the results. So if you don't like the results, then back up and figure out, where's that coming from? Where are what's happening? And if you can't figure it out, sometimes our habits, it's like the small things that you do daily that you don't notice that's giving you the big results. You're like, well, why am I, for example, here's a really good one. Coffee or caffeine before protein spikes your cortisol. So it has this major effect on your health. Cortisol face, look it up. There's a real deal. It's this puffy face. It's cortisol face, because your hormones are off. Well, it's a small thing that you're doing every single day because you're not aware of it. You might be ignorant to the fact of it, and most people are. I don't drink coffee, but when I learned that, I told my husband, you can't drink coffee before caffeine. You can't drink coffee before protein. You got to have protein, and you got to try to have like 30 grams of protein in your breakfast. Then you have caffeine. You have to let your body regulate properly. So this small thing of just waking up to a cup of coffee produces major issues. And not just cortisol, but all kinds of other issues. So it's the little habits that we think, oh, that's not a big deal. Buying this lottery ticket spending $20 at the lottery is not a big deal. Well, it adds up. It's the little things that always spoil. It's the little things that make up the big results. The little things you do daily that make up. It's not the one-time things. It's not, oh, I had a cup of coffee before breakfast one time this month. Not a big deal. It's the little things that you do daily on a habitual basis that's giving you the results that you're getting. And then if you're complaining about the results, but you're not willing to change what got you there, that's being a hypocrite, because you're complaining about something, but you're not willing to do the work to change it, or look at yourself and say, okay, am I causing these issues in my life or my family's life, or am I the one causing the results? Could it possibly be me? So number one, be willing to change. Be willing to change your ways. Be willing to change how you do things. Just because it worked in the past does not mean it's going to work in the future. And just because it worked for you doesn't mean it works for us. Speaking of you and your spouse, just because it works for you individually doesn't mean it works for your whole family. So you have to step out and say, number one, what environment are we submitted to? Are we submitted to a lazy, environment, or are we challenging ourselves? Are we someplace that's going to help us be better, do better, live better, desire for more, think more, sharpen our skills? Are we around people that sharpen us? When you desire something, you'll pay to get into that circle. I'm not saying like, oh, get into a circle of rich people. I'm talking about get into a circle of people who want to live. They are striving to do something. They haven't given up on life. They're not going with the flow. They're not just, oh yeah, I'll take this and it is what it is, and what'll be will be, and everything happens for a reason. That's such an excuse to not do what you're supposed to do. So when you submit yourself to people who are actually like focused, they're like, no, it's not whatever happens for a reason. It's your choices 90% of the time are causing the results. So you're going to own it or not. And so you have to really get around people who are owning it and they're making clear, concise decisions, because that rubs off. When you're around sharp people, that'll rub off. You're like, dang, look what they're doing. It makes you feel a little inferior. Like, oh, I got to step up my game a little bit. And it should, because the Bible says friends sharpen each other. You have to sharpen each other. And also, it also says judge them by their fruits. And a lot of people are like, you shouldn't judge. Yes, you should. The Bible actually says you should judge them by their fruits. And you should judge yourself too, because that tells you a whole lot about that person. They can talk all they want. They could be churchgoers all they want. But look at the fruits of their life. Look at the fruits of their words. Look at the fruits of how they live. Look at the fruits of their everything. And that'll tell you a whole lot more, the results about them. The results always tell the truth. So you got to get to that point where you're honest with yourself and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm willing to adjust. I'm willing to move. I'm willing to change for the betterment of my family and for what God has for us, and to really submit yourself to the plans of the Lord in that sense. And it's such a beautiful thing, because your way is going to cause a lot more heartache than his way. He always has the plans, the best plans. He says he gives you the desires of your heart. Anyways, so it's a beautiful walk. And once you realize, okay, maybe I'm trying to work on something that's not working. I'm fighting the same thing. I'm fighting the same way. Just figure out a new way. There's always a different way. There's always something new. There's something that you're not seeing. And ask God, show me what I'm not seeing. Maybe there's something I can't see in this present moment because I'm looking in the same direction, or I'm on a lower level. I just can't see it. And sometimes you're not going to see it, but he'll see it. And that's when you trust in him, submit to him, and he'll take you where you need to go. And later on, a year later maybe, or 6 months later, you're going to go, oh, wow, now I see. Now I know. Now I get it. I'm so glad I trusted you and I didn't lean on my own understanding to keep me in my own bondage. So I hope this message encourages you today to take some steps of faith and to really take a look at where you're submitting yourself to. Your environment plays a major role in that. Submitting yourself to the right environment can make a difference in how you flourish. Submitting a child to the right environment also. If they're struggling in an area, in a specific school, that might not be for them. Stop forcing something when it may not be for them. In high school, I was an alternative educated high school gal. I hated high school. It was just not the right environment. I didn't flourish in it. I didn't grow in it. And that was me. I wasn't the college girl. I needed to be up at 2 a.m. painting when I used to do art, oil paintings, because that's when I was creative. And I couldn't get up and go to a class because I was doing something else. So different people need a different environment to flourish in, for their gifts to grow in. Your kids do, your spouse does, you do. The gifts will flourish once you figure out and once you get yourself to the place that you need to be for all of that to flourish and come out. And for me, I'm sensing a change again too. We just downsized into this apartment, and I feel that we may need more space. My gifts in design need to flourish. So I'm open to whatever God has for us. There's only so much that you can do in a smaller space. But right now, God's teaching me to trust him, to let go, and to simplify life. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Letting go, trusting him, simplifying life, walking with him daily, and waiting for that next move. Waiting for him to tell me, what's the next move? And he'll impress it on your heart, so you'll know ahead of time what direction to go in, probably before you go. And sometimes it's an all of a sudden thing. And he's like, all right, now's the time. Here's the opportunity. Go. This is what you've been praying for. Go. So just be ready, be prepared. Do not get complacent. Complacency is the worst, because we look at it as being, oh, I'm satisfied or I'm comfortable. And really, you're just complacent. And when you're complacent, you're not growing. You're just existing. You might even wrap it up in saying, well, I'm being humble and I'm being satisfied. And God tells us to be satisfied and want nothing. That's not what that means. Don't distort the message. Complacency stunts your growth. It doesn't allow you to develop. There's times of rest where you need to calm down, which is not laziness, that's intentionally resting. But complacency and laziness are not forms of rest. They're forms of excuse, giving up, not wanting to push yourself, lack of purpose, lack of desire, lack of growth, lack of stimulation, lack of zeal, enthusiasm. All of these beautiful things are lacking when you are complacent. You're like, well, it's okay. I'm just happy with this. I don't want to move forward. Well, that's your choice. But I'm here to tell you, you stretch yourself, you put yourself in the right environment to grow, to flourish, to become better. You put yourself there, and then you rise to the occasion. You become better. So it's a really interesting way of perspective, because you're switching things around. Instead of saying, well, I'm going to work my way up to that point, you just put yourself there and realize, okay, I'm sinking or swimming. What am I going to do? Am I going to figure this out, or am I going to go back to old ways? So your environment plays a major role in your growth. Major role. So take a look around, to inventory on what you got to do, what you got to change, what you got to let go of. If you have pieces in your house that trigger a feeling, a past feeling, you walk by that and you're like, oh, that sweater was when I was huge, or I dated someone and I had that, or this is from, get rid of it. If it's triggering a past self that you're striving to get away from, get rid of it. And bring in fresh pieces that are making you, that really push you to be that person that you want to be, that really stimulate, oh, this looks good, I love this, I love the style of this, I like the color of it, it looks great. And it's not triggering a response to your nervous system of, oh, the past, or something that you don't like or you don't desire or whatever. Let it go. Get it out of your peripheral and do a little cleanup. Get your home in order. Get your house in order. Get your thoughts in order. And be blessed.